G'day legends, and oh my god, UFC 317. Dana White can't keep getting away with this, man. He can't keep getting away with this. All, like, for 2 months. MMA YouTube, every single MMA YouTube channel, the fans, we the fans, that's all MMA YouTube is. It's just a bunch of fans connecting together and chatting with each other. And for about 2 months, we have been screaming about just how garbage UFC 317 is on paper. How is this the Super Bowl of MMA? What happened to our sport? Why is this International Fight Week? And then it turns out to be absolutely bloody phenomenal. And I'm talking from top to bottom, from the prelims to the main event, even the co-main event, where Alexander Pantoja did his regular backpack riding sort of a thing. Even that turned out to be quite fun when you looked at the dominance of it, and it didn't go on for 25 minutes. Alexander Pantoja got the finish eventually, but Dana can't keep getting away with this, man, because we're rolling into UFC 318, and you see it on paper, and you know that it's absolutely garbage. You see UFC 318 on paper, and you say to yourself, that is absolute trash. And what can we say to the UFC to get them to do anything about these trash cards when every single time they give us a trash pay-per-view card, not every single time, but quite a few times when they give us a trash card, it actually turns out to be absolutely phenomenal. Look, let's break it down. Let's talk about the main event, what we're all here for, what's got us all amped up. Ilia Topuria sleeps Charles Oliveira in the first round. Oh my lord. What is Ilia Topuria's bone density made of, mate? What is his bone density, mate? How does he do that? The perfect form and the technique to land the right, the jab, the right, the left, and Charles Oliveira just falls to the floor like a beloved Dragon Ball Z character with the eyes open. But you know when it's in Dragon Ball Z, they edge out the pupils in the eyes and they just fall to the ground. It's just over. Charles Oliveira is just cleanly slept and done. God, even the Topuria haters out there, I've seen some of them online, I've seen some of them in my comments. Even the Topuria haters out there, you've got to give him your respect. I saw one comment, he slept a washed Alexander Volkanovski. Yeah, fair enough. Alexander Volkanovski had just been knocked out. Coming back 2 months later, not the smartest thing. He slept a washed Max Holloway. Dude, shut up. That is not a washed Max Holloway. Max Holloway had just done UFC 300 against Justin Gaethje. That is not a washed Max Holloway. He slept a washed Charles Oliveira. Dude, shut up. That is not a washed Charles Oliveira. Only 12 months ago, Charles Oliveira is going neck and neck close to a split decision. Some people are arguing that Charles Oliveira actually beat Arman Tsarukyan, the ranked #1 contender in the world, the guy who should be fighting for the title next, yeah? Yes, Charles Oliveira didn't get through Michael Chandler as cleanly as Paddy Pimblett did, but he still won 4 rounds to 1 comfortably over Michael Chandler. He had a little Leon Edwards, takes a slip in the last 20 minutes of a 25-minute fight against Michael Chandler in the last round. Like, Charles Oliveira is still Charles goddamn Oliveira. There is a reason why I was disgusted at the money line going into this fight. And what happened in today's fight was the fans' hype met the money line, which met reality, which is so wild to see in MMA. Like, what Ilia Topuria is doing in MMA right now, the kid is 17-0. He's 17-0. And he just won a lightweight title of Charles Oliveira, who went neck and neck with the #1 contender, Arman Tsarukyan. It's insane. And he did it in the first round. Arman didn't do that in the first round. It's insane what we're seeing here. Islam Makhachev didn't do that in the first round to Charles Oliveira. Islam didn't do that in the first round to Charles Oliveira. And we finally saw the thing that we needed to see so much. The thing that I have been umming and ahhing about Ilia Topuria for quite a while now was he's got this mythical grappling that we've heard about, but we haven't really seen it in the highest level of the UFC. But we saw it here. Charles took him down, and Ilia did the short man scramble. He doesn't just stay in bottom position. We'll get to you, Lima. He doesn't just stay in bottom position, and look to try and get his hips out. No. He stays calm. He creates scrambles. He uses that short, stocky man body size to curl up into a ball, roll into himself, then stand up. Charles Oliveira was in on a heel hook. Ilia Topuria stayed calm. I don't know. It's the boxing stance. I've been talking about this as well on the live streams as well. There's something about the boxing stance. The rangy kickboxing stance, you're constantly on the back foot, worried about the takedowns. The boxing stance, you're a lot shorter. You're there to get your underhooks in. You're already at a low center of gravity to sprawl. There's something about these short guys with the boxing stance. And Ilia Topuria, he's mixing the hips, the power, the calm, the control, the boxing stance, the jiu-jitsu, mixing it all together and sprinkling on top of this otherworldly Conor McGregor confidence. Yes, he doesn't have the skill on the microphone of Conor McGregor. He doesn't, no. And no, he doesn't have the marketing that Conor McGregor had behind him. It wasn't just that Conor McGregor was an absolute wizard on the microphone back in the day. It was the fact that the UFC would book Conor McGregor on late night television. The UFC would cut promos and cut commercials for Conor McGregor. The UFC were trying to make the company as big as possible. They don't do that anymore. But yeah, Ilia isn't Conor. But he's got that belief that Conor had, which is scary. Scary. Bruce Buffer's doing the call-outs, and Ilia Topuria is just standing there like nonchalantly. Insane. Going in there against the big, lanky, shooter box, forward pressure Charles Oliveira. It was amazing. Amazing to see every aspect, from the walkout to the striking to the grappling to the getting back up to the knockout. Every single aspect was amazing. And then they call in Paddy Pimblett and they cut just the sickest promo. Shit we don't see anymore. A little bit of back and forth. We haven't seen that since Israel Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis. We haven't seen that since Brock Lesnar in DC. We just don't get those moments in the UFC anymore. Where Paddy Pimblett's like, you're not going to knock me out, you sausage. You're not going to knock me out, lad. No one knocks me out, lad. And Ilia Topuria just pushes him, mate. Just get the fuck out of here, son. Get the fuck out of here. Just gives him one of them, a good old shove. It's phenomenal to see. Now, Dana said that fight's not going to happen, and he's kind of angry that Paddy Pimblett even got into the cage. Do not take that to mean that fight isn't going to happen. Do not take that to mean that the next fight is not going to be Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett. Dana White is a liar. Dana White is a massive liar. Dana White and the UFC do not like generally guaranteeing people title shots. In the position that they are in right now, they want Justin Gaethje begging for a title shot. They want Arman Tsarukyan begging for a title shot. They want Paddy begging for a title shot. They want to see what happens with Max and Dustin Poirier. They want to have all of the fighters that could be available for a title shot all begging with their hands out so they can negotiate between them for the best deal for the UFC to see who's available next, who's the least injured, who's asking for the least amount of money, who's the least difficult to work with. That's what the UFC want to do. If they promise it to Paddy Pimblett, it takes away their negotiating power. Well, Dougie, didn't they just do that with Alexandre Pantoja and Joshua Van? It's a little bit different because Pantoja has already wiped out his entire division twice over. So that's why generally the UFC want to have plenty of cards to negotiate with. What's happening down at flyweight is a little bit different. Charles Oliveira, there's also people saying Charles Oliveira should retire. I disagree. What makes tonight so amazing is that Charles Oliveira generally doesn't get knocked out. Charles Oliveira's been in some wars, but I don't know how much concussive CTE damage he's really accumulated over the years. Surely a fair amount. Definitely a fair crack. But Charles Oliveira's on an amazing contract. He's still a huge fan favorite. Just like Jose Aldo, he can go on to fight for many more years. And Charles Oliveira's lifestyle that he lives in Brazil off the back of the American dollar is quite lavish and really nice. So, should Charles Oliveira retire? I don't think so. I don't think he should, but it is certainly a dark, dark day for Charles Oliveira fans. Dark, dark day for Charles Oliveira fans. Obviously, this opens up the question of how would Islam Makhachev have taken that shot? Did Islam run away? Obviously, Islam didn't run away. Don't be ridiculous. I've seen people saying that too. Islam wants the photo opportunity with 2 belts just as bad as Ilya does. But how would Islam Makhachev take those shots? Would Islam be able to hold him down? You know, at first I was saying that Ilya's really got no chance against Islam Makhachev because of the clinch game of Makhachev, the knees up the middle, the greedy shots to the body, the step-in elbows. Islam Makhachev is a very Muay Thai-esque forward striker. Although now, I mean, Islam Makhachev gets touched. He's been touched, you know. Volk touched him. Dustin Poirier touched him. Moicano landed in this area somewhere. Was it a slip? Was it a knockdown? We can argue about that, and we often do for many, many hours. The point is, Islam Makhachev does get touched. And there seems to be something going on with Ilia Topuria that when he touches you, you die. Josh Emmett's not human. Josh Emmett is a gremlin. Josh Emmett is some sort of troll creature. This new Ilia Topuria, the upgraded Ilia Topuria, the one that's gained the confidence to sit on the shot, exchange, let it go. I need to think about it more. There's something about this Ilia Topuria. When he touches you, you just go away. You go to sleep. It's phenomenal to see. Let's talk about the co-main event. I've been rambling for 10 minutes. Let's talk about the co-main event. Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France. Is Alexandre Pantoja the greatest flyweight? I don't want to commit to any sentences yet. I want to sleep on it and think about it. But I love Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse has obviously got more title defenses, obviously. I think Pantoja's got just as many I don't know the stats. But Pantoja is looping his division. And he's looping his division at a time when the division is a lot more set in stone than Demetrius's. You know, like Demetrius was the first flyweight. Anyone was just coming into the UFC, 1 or 2 wins. They'd get sometimes straight off tough. They get a shot at Demetrius Johnson. You know what I mean? It's different. It's different. Flyweight, it's been more established. Pantoja's punching through it. Steve Erceg, you know what I mean? He only fought 3 times. His fourth fight was a title shot. That's a very Demetrius Johnson-esque title shot defense, you know? Kai Asakura, yes, he's a Ryzen champ, but, I mean, Ryzen, where are we really ranking that? Yeah, Manel Kap's done well, but Manel Kap's done well with a boob and an eye poke, you know what I mean? Yuri Prohaska's done well, but how is Yuri Prohaska going to go against Magomed Ankalaev? Like, how does Ryzen really, you know what I mean? So, Alexandre Pantoja, as much as I want to say that flyweight today is more solidified in a deeper division than it was in Demetrius Johnson's time, and it is. There are still those remnants of flyweight not being that deep. Erceg getting the shot, Kai Sakura getting the shot, and is that because of where flyweight is, or is that because of the dominance that is Alexandre Pantoja, where he is just mauling the division and lapping them again and again and again, forcing the UFC to push people fast? We'll get to Joshua Van in a minute. Like Steve Erceg, like Kai Sakura. I think it's a little bit of both, and I need to sleep on where I'm putting Alexandre Pantoja in relationship to Mighty Mouse. But I tell you what, the conversation is now being had. You know, this ain't a Lucas Tracy conversation where, well, it's the modern era. You know, I just started watching UFC in 2018, so everything that happened before that doesn't count. No, this isn't that kind of a, let's talk about the GOAT list. This is like a Alexandre Pantoja is starting to have a real fucking conversation here. A real conversation. Against Kai Kara-France, who just embarrassed himself. CKB, they cannot do what they need to do against grapplers. They just can't. CKB are a rangy kickboxing gym that huff their own farts with how beautiful their technique looks against each other with the rangy kickboxing. But when you pressure a CKB fighter with a bit of grappling, it all falls apart every time. Almost every single time. And it was on full display here today with Kai Kara-France, who mean mugged his way into the most dominant loss you're going to see in a very long time. A WMMA level dominant loss. Truly, truly embarrassing. There's the conversation going around about the haka thing that Kai Kara-France does. You know the one. Whether it's cringe or not, or whether or not you don't understand the culture. I've seen a lot of people talking about this, yeah? Primarily Luke Thomas. You just don't get the culture, man. You don't get the culture. You don't understand the culture. You don't get... I understand the culture. I went to high school with Maoris. I have a lot of friends who are Maoris. One of my Maori Kiwi mates actually jumped into the live stream to say, g'day mate, is my boy going to get it today? And I was like, no, brother, unfortunately, I don't think he is. I understand it, and I've seen the haka. I've seen it live. I've seen it on national sporting events on television here in Australia. I've had the haka done towards me before. It's fucking cool. If Kai Kara France is your only experience of the haka, I'm truly sorry. I am, because 125 pound guy doing it on his own in a room of people that don't understand it is cringe, Luke Thomas. Him doing it is cringe. It's been cringing me out all bloody week. Now, a group of 6-foot-something Maoris at a stadium full of New Zealand fans screaming down the Wallabies, the All Blacks doing it at the start of the Olympics, when it's done properly in the right settings, the right atmospheres. I'm telling you boys, the haka is fucking cool as shit when it's done right by the right, person, like an Aspinall, a Drew Plessis, a Mark Hunt, when they're fucking giving it to everything and the whole fucking arena's shaking. It's fucking cool. It can be cool. So to the guys out there that are saying you don't get it because you don't understand the culture, the warrior dance, I understand the culture damn well. I've seen it plenty of times. I've been part of it. Yeah, been part of the experience of it live. Again, went to high school with these boys, shared beers with these boys, been in and out of, like I've been around the culture. I get it. Kai Kara Francis is cringe as fucking shit, mate. Yeah, from one of the Aussies, from one of their neighbours, it's cringe as shit. Moving on to Joshua Van versus Brandon Royval. Cinema, fight of the year. Fight of the year. Cinema, amazing. This card, man, I cannot overly emphasize the appreciation and the madness that we are witnessing in 23-year-old Joshua Van. And what he just did to the number one contender still has that dog in him, Brandon Royval. I'm not going to talk about the Joshua Van versus Pantoja fight, because we'll talk about that later. But I just want to appreciate Joshua Van, and I want to appreciate Brandon Royval. Joshua Van fought 3 weeks ago. And he broke his toe during that fight. And then he said yes to Royval, who is a take-all-comers, I know who I am. I'm a Robert Whittaker. I'm a Max Holloway. I'm one of those guys that is relegated to being second best. And I need to do everything I can to get my title shot back, even though it's never going to happen. I'm going to fight for it. And I love seeing the fight in the fighter. And Brandon Royval brought that. And Joshua Van, at 23 years old, went in there and won the first round against Brandon Royval, who looked a little shocked at what was happening to him. And then Royval goes back to his corner, mate. Royval goes back to his corner and has like a do or die moment where he decides, do I have any water? I'm dying. Where he decides that I'm not giving up my number one contender shot. God fucking damn it. I'm not letting this 23-year-old kid in here to take away everything that I've fucking worked for. Because I'm never getting a title shot if I lose this fight. And in round 2, I give it to Royval. And Royval fucking puts it on Van. Puts it on him. And Van stays in the fight. During round 2, stays in the fight. And then Van goes back to his corner and goes, oh, this guy wants to play. I'll fucking play. And then they meet in the middle in round 3. In just... This is what creates lifelong fans. This round 3, when you get the storylines of both of these men clashing. And with a broken toe... Van wins round 3 by figuring out that Royval is too locked in with the hands, and he starts sneaking in the kick. And he's just fucking hammers it. And Royval, because he had success in round 2 with his jab, establishing the jab, getting the 2 going, following with, because Royval has found his success and he thinks it's his path to victory, and Royval is so locked in on this path to success, Van just starts sneaking in that low kick. And it clips away at Royval. He drops Royval, and MMA, baby. MMA. This is how legends are made. Yuri, play the track. Amazing. I'm still blown away by it. Happened hours ago. I'm still blown away by it. Amazing. 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 Thank you, Brandon Royval and Joshua Van. Thank you. Thank you. Beneil Dariush, Renato Moicano. I think there needs to be more fluidity in the rankings. That's what I'll say about this fight. I think there needs to be more fluidity in the rankings. Most average men on the planet fall between lightweight and welterweight. This is International Fight Week, round 3. This is the 9th versus the 11th best ranked lightweight fighters on the planet. You know what I'm saying? I think there needs to be more movement in the rankings. Something about activity, I don't know. You know, something about it. I mean, to be fair, Moicano fought his way into the rankings, so he deserves to be where he is. Benil Dariush, I feel like he's held on to his ranking for a little bit too long. Like now, because of this win, Benil's going to stay around. I don't know what to do about the rankings, but I feel like you place this with lightweight over the entire globe. This is really ranked number 9 and ranked number 11. I disagree, but it is what it is. Moicano gave up. He gave up, dude. He gave up. Like, not to say that he didn't fight. Like, he fought damn hard, and he went after it, but that round 2 sucked the life out of Moicano. And I do really feel like the pre-BSD Moicano, the one that was on the run, the one that could not afford to lose, that Moicano is dead now. Because this Moicano made it all the way up to a title shot, got big money to step in on short notice, has established a very loyal online fan base and community through the biggest MMA podcaster, YouTuber in the space, the MMA Guru, and has set up his own podcast with Gilbert Burns, who also looked like he had given up in his last fight. And things are just set. It's the silk sheets have now set in on Moicano. And I could see that fire in the eyes. There's a look in the eyes. Barboza had it. Nickel had it. Bo Nickel had it in his last fight. There's a look in the eyes. And it happened to Moicano's eyes during that second round. Not the Charles Oliveira where the life went out. That was life being forcibly taken out of you. But just Moicano's career just slipped past him. Right there in that fight. He gave up. He gave up. And I don't think Moicano 2 years ago would have given up. I don't think the Moicano who was in there and going to I want to say Drew Dober. Yeah, Moicano 2024 Drew Dober. That Moicano against Drew Dober isn't giving up. That I cannot afford to lose. Moicano isn't giving up. But this Moicano is. 2025 Moicano is. Peyton Talbot versus Felipe Lima. Ended in the most Peyton Talbot way possible. A sitting north-south 69. Brilliant. Shout out to Peyton Talbot, man. Like, we're going to clown him because, you know, we're the men of the MMA community and Peyton Talbot is what Peyton Talbot is. So we're going to clown him, but man, shout out to Peyton Talbot, dude. He got embarrassed in his last fight and he learned how to grapple. You know, just flowed with it. He's so San Francisco, LA hippie-esque. He's like, oh, I need to learn grappling, man. No worries, bro. We're going to learn grappling. And he just calls up Cron Gracie. Hey, dude, you going to teach me some grappling? Dude, I got to learn grappling, brother. And then he just starts rolling the jiu-jitsu and the grappling and just becomes a grappler. Felipe Lima, I was high on, but he overdid everything. And this is where, like, again, oh, you're just some dickhead sitting on the couch. What do you know? How do you know whatever? I don't know, dude. I watch a lot of fights. You know, that's just my 2 cents. Take it or leave it, whatever you want. There's a certain something that comes from just establish the jab and a low kick. Find your range, you know? Get your jab going. Get your momentum set. You know, Brandon Royval won the second round this way. He just got behind his jab. And when he started to find his second and third jab landing, then it was the bang bang with the combination, you know? And Felipe Lima, everything was just a big spinning kick. A big meaty hook. A step in elbow. Blast a single leg from out in the open. There was no... Can we just take a minute and just get our range and our jab going? None of that. Didn't exist. Just didn't exist. And it allowed Peyton Talbot to just slowly start to build the momentum and get his confidence back. And I mean, well done to Peyton Talbot. You know what I mean? When a fighter has so much hype that Peyton has, and then he gets that loss in such an embarrassing way, you can really go one of 2 ways. And Peyton Talbot just decided to go full Californian surfer with it. Just, I guess I better learn grappling, dude. Dude, I gotta learn some grappling. And then off he went to go learn some grappling, man. Gregory Rodriguez versus Jack Manson. I did a coin. Oh, my picks were horrible. My picks were horrible. I had the worst. This might have been my worst night of picks ever. Whatever it is, what it is. Gregory Rodriguez murders Jack Manson. He should be deported. Deported. Absolutely deported. Murders him. Murders him. Why that hammer fist? Gregory Rodriguez, why land that hammer fist? Oh my god. Like, Rodriguez, like, you didn't have to do that. You know, like he's not Jared Cannonier. He took out the demons of Jared Cannonier on Jack Hermansson. Poor Jack Hermansson. Apparently, Jack Hermansson was under observation for a straight up hour after that knockout before they decided to let him go home. Brutal, mate. Brutal. And Herb Dean, they're saying, oh, Herb Dean didn't get it on it quick enough. Dude, as he was... Herb Dean was on him. Herb Dean had both hands on the hips as the fist was going. So Gregory Rodriguez felt Herb Dean, you know, his hands around his hips and decided to just keep going with the hammer fist. Like we have seen in fight, I think it was Khalil, one of Khalil's fights. We've seen Khalil Roundtree sleep people and then Khalil's gone and backed off. Like, I've seen it before a couple of times. Khalil's the example that's coming to me right now. But I've seen it a couple of times where a fighter has stood over another fighter, just cocked the hammer fist, and then backed off. But not Gregory Rodriguez. Gregory Rodriguez saw Jack Hermansson's skull bounce off the cage and then went, I'll fucking get this guy. Check this out. 6! Bang! It's just gone and given him the mighty, like, tried to explode his head on the canvas. Madness. Jose Delgado versus Hyder Emil. It was an early stoppage. We're going to do this. Right, so you got to do this very, very slowly. You got to do this very, very slowly. Okay, so this is after the knockdown. This is after the knockdown. Alright, you got to do this frame by frame, otherwise the UFC get very upset. Now, there's the strike to the face, the elbow to the face. Yes, that does land. Yes, that does land. Now, look at Hyder Emil's right hand. Look at Hyder Emil's right hand. Look at his left hand. Hyder Emil's right hand is going to shoot between the crotch. Is going to shoot between the crotch. Watch. There it goes. Goes between the crotch. Now watch his left hand. His left hand is going to come around. His left hand is going to come around and go towards the hips. Is going to go towards the hip. There we go. So now we've got the left hand around the hips. We've got the right hand around the crotch. How many ground and pound sequences have you seen like this? And look at where his legs are. His legs are shocked up on the side and his waist is curled. You know what's about to happen here? He's about to dig his head into Delgado's crotch and cause grappling. And cause the grab. Just like we've seen 1,000 times, there is going to be a fighter raining down ground and pound, going for a finish, and the fighter on bottom is going to dig their head into the crotch to cover their head, and the fighter is going to fall over the top. Delgado is going to fall over the top and try and land towards the back, and that's the natural occurrence of what is happening here. And if that had played on, he would have been in on the hips, and Mark Goddard stopped it early. He was awake, and he is defending by going in looking for the hips. And he popped back up the moment this fight finished because the fight was still happening. It was still going on. Mark Goddard called it early. That was an early stoppage. But no one's really going to scream about an early stoppage because we had a late stoppage in the fight directly after it. So, you know, that's that. Half an hour. Holy shit. UFC 317 was amazing. Was amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed every single minute of it. Absolutely amazing. Loved it. Let me know what you thought about it down there in the comments. We'll talk about what's next going into the week for the rest of the week on the live streams and everything. But UFC 317, what a phenomenal experience. I got to rate the card out of 10. I mean, I say a good... Oh, man. I say a good pay-per-view needs good prelims, fun fights up and down the card, and then the main event needs to finish with a moment. Like a holy shit moment. That's a good pay-per-view to me. This was a great pay-per-view. 9.5, 9.8 out of 10. Really, I mean, we had history on this pay-per-view. You know, what Joshua Van did. Ilia Topuria, 17-0. Double champ. International Fight Week. Women's fight, 9.8 out of 10. Phenomenal. 9.8 out of 10. Phenomenal. I hate to give it a 10 out of 10, but Jesus Christ, it was a good card. It was a great card. Anyway, I'm out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is the first time here. G'day. Welcome. My name is Dougie. I try and make an MMA video every single day of the week, and I try and go live at least 3 times a week. If you want to know when all that happens, you hit the subscription bell and the notification button to know when I go live. Leave a like if you liked the video. And if you're one of the paying members of the channel, I thank you so much. Your names will be up on the next slide. Until then, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you on the next live stream. I'll see you on the next video. See you guys. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.